Have you ever wanted to get into the mind of a genius and figure out how they think? Or perhaps have you ever wanted to figure out how you yourself think in different situations? Why you do what you do, why you don't do what you should do, or why you do what you shouldn't do? Well, today I'm going to be sharing with you something called strategies. But before I do, I want to explain the technique that I'm going to be talking about today. It's a little bit like understanding how a recipe works. It's like when you go and you ask your grandmother for that recipe, and you find out that recipe, and she gives you the ingredients and what in what order that you're supposed to put it in, and you figure out how she gets that result. And so when we are talking about how we think and how to figure out how people think, it's like getting that recipe, that order in which people do things, and understanding it so that we can recreate what result that they are having. So we're talking about something called NLP strategies, or basically strategies, the strategies that we use in our lives to make decisions or to get results. So this is so important, because once you understand a strategy that you have we have different strategies for different things in our lives. And these are basically the sequence of thoughts that we have to produce a result. And when you understand that either for yourself, you can recreate it. But if you understand it for other people, you can recreate it. So if you understand their motivation strategy or their buying strategy or etc., you can recreate it, or their learning strategy, which is what I'm going to give you an example of today. You can create it, because when we buy things, we have a specific sequence that we go through. I know that, for example, when I purchase a course, I like to first read about it, then I like to go in online and see what reviews are there, and then and then I get to buying it. For example, this is one of the strategies I have. When I learn, or when you learn, you probably have a specific sequence of or way that you like to learn things in your own way, for example. But we have preferred ways of doing a lot of different things in our lives. And every single one of us has a preferred way of doing a certain thing. Maybe you have a preferred way of learning or cooking or whatever it is. And so you want to understand that these are our individual strategies. So I want to tell you a quick story. I remember when I was doing my NLP training, and I was there, and one of the teachers over there, lady by the name of Kathleen, amazing woman, really really accomplished, has done a lot in her life in terms of building the whole NLP community and the society of NLP. And she was a great teacher. And she was telling us a story of how she was a consultant for a company. And in this company, it was a manufacturing company, and they were rolling out like a bunch of these, a new machine, let's say. And they had people that had been working there for a long time. They had a couple of senior people that had been using the old machine for a long time, and they were really, really good at it. And they brought one of these trainers in to train one of the senior people in the company. And so this trainer came in, and he was meant to train one of the senior people in this company, in this manufacturing company. But the senior person just wasn't getting it. Like, he was not getting it. And he didn't understand how this new machine worked. And he was like, look, I know the old machine. I really want to just use the old machine. Is that possible? I'm not getting the how this new machine works. And so they brought in these NLP consultants, etc., and to find out how could they help this person learn. And what Kathleen had done, and she went and spoke to him and asked him, okay, so tell me, when you on the old machine, I mean, you're really good at that old machine. Like, just tell me, how did you learn how to use the old machine? Like, how did you become the expert in the company? Because you are like one of the foremost experts on the old machinery. How did you learn how to use it? And it was like, oh, it's very simple. Like, when I first when the first machine came in, they gave us a whole bunch of videos, and I watched the videos, and she's like, okay, so you started watching videos. What did you do straight after you started like watching the videos? Like, he's like, well, I was making a few notes, and then she said, okay, and what happened straight after you started taking notes? Like, did you know it straight away? And he was like, no. Then I had to go and actually like try things out on the machine, just to get a feel of the things that I was looking at. And then she's like, and then you knew it? No. And he's like, no. Then I had to go back to the video and rewatch the video just to compare what was in my mind, etc. And she was like, okay, great. And then did you feel like you know it? And he was like, yeah. Then I felt like I knew it. I understood it. And she was like, okay. So she determined something called his learning strategy. Now I'm going to share with you exactly what they did. So after she slowed everything down, then she went to the managers of the company and she said, okay, if you want this senior person, he will be a great advocate. He'll be able to share with others. But the first thing that you got to do is you got to adopt the teaching to his style of learning. If you want him to learn it, he will learn it if you do this. But if you get him to just speak to someone in a classroom where the guy is showing him how he does it, he's not going to learn. So she said to the manager of the company, just get your teacher to record a video of him doing the stuff. Give the video to your senior guy and let him watch the video, let him make notes, and let him go and get his hands on the system and try it out, and then let him go back and rewatch the video in his own time, and he will learn. And what they found is that they adopted this strategy. They allowed this guy to learn in his own way, and boom, he became the expert in the company like in no time. Versus what they were trying to do, which was they were trying to teach him in a way that wasn't his way of learning. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of how strategies worked, because strategies are the sequence of thoughts that create a behavior. Let me repeat that. Strategies, in when we talk about it in NLP terms, is the sequence of thoughts. So it's like, number one, I got to do this. Number two, I got to do this. Number three, I got to do this. And then when you do those things in that order, someone will want to buy, someone will learn. So we have buying strategies, we have learning strategies, we have strategies to fall in love. And literally all it is you figure out what is that sequence. If you can figure out what is the sequence and you recreate the sequence, you can recreate the result. So if someone needs to see something, then hear something, then do something in a certain way, then you can recreate the result. So if you're looking at if you can figure out someone's buying strategy, you are more likely to get them to buy by recreating their buying strategy. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you how to do strategies in a second. So let's go to that. In fact, so let's start talking about strategies now. So strategies, I'm out of focus. So first thing that we need to do is understand the components of, when we talk about strategy, what are the components that make a strategy? So when we think in either visual. So what are we visualizing? What are we seeing? Auditory, what are we hearing? Or what are we feeling? Kinesthetic. So visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Okay? See, hear, feel. There are also two more. These are the most common ones. So I'm starting with that. We see, we hear, we feel. So when we think, we also see, hear, and feel. So our strategies, these are the components. We see, hear, or feel something. They're also olfactory and gustatory, meaning what we smell and what we taste. Okay, these are less common, but they are still there. But yeah, I mean, in general, a lot of times you might find that smell and taste aren't always there, but you'll find visual, auditory, and kinesthetic are more frequently used, depending on what type of strategy. Obviously, if you're talking about an eating strategy, it might be different. But when we're talking about a decision-making strategy, it might just be involved with visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. What we see, what we hear, what we feel. Then, as I said, there's sometimes olfactory and gustatory. Now, there are also what we have our internal. So when we say there's internal and external. So internal means I'm seeing, visualizing in my mind, or external means I'm seeing something outside. So let me just give you an example. If, let's say, I am talking about a decision-making strategy, I see something. That means I see something on the computer. Right now, I'm seeing the computer. That's visual external. I'm seeing something outside of my body. But then I imagine myself doing it. That means visual internal. So that's the difference between internal and external. External means I'm seeing something outside. Internal means you're recreating it in your mind. So for each of those things, for visual, for auditory, we can imagine hearing it, that's internal, or we can hear something from outside, that's external. So these are the just different components that you want to, that you need to understand when we are trying to get someone's strategy. The next thing you want to do is ask someone, okay, I want you to recall a specific time that you really felt X. So you really felt amazing. You really felt motivated. You really felt, I have to buy this thing, for example. And you ask them just to remember that time. When they remember it, you say, okay, what is the first thing that happened that recreated that began the feeling? What is the first thing that happened that started this feeling off? Was it something that you saw? Was it something that you heard? Or was it something that you felt? Okay. That's why I typically ask those three. Usually it's not, I don't want to overcomplicate things by asking, is it something you tasted or smelled? But so I just say, what recreated this feeling of wanting to do this? Was it something that you saw, something that you heard, or something that you felt? And when you ask them that, they'll say, well, I really wanted to buy, what was it? I really wanted to buy a car. So I think it was, I saw this car and I thought, I gotta have it. So it's something you saw. So then you understand it's visual. And he saw the car, so it's visual external because he saw the car. All right, so you understand, okay, that's the first part, visual. And then you ask the question, what was the very next thing that you did after you saw the car? Was it, he might say, oh, I saw the car and then I said to myself, wow, that would be amazing. So you kind of know it's auditory. It's just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to say auditory, internal, because it's in their mind, right? I don't want to overcomplicate things. It's called auditory digital, but like we're just going to say auditory internal, so that they are hearing it inside of their mind. And then I felt like I wanted to have it. So it's a feeling. It's a feeling inside of them, right? They feel it inside. I felt this thing. So now you kind of know there's visual, there's auditory, there's kinesthetic. These are the sequence of thoughts that they were going through. Now I know it's a slightly complex topic. However, when you get this, it's like the keys to it's like a safe. You're cracking the code of how people think, how we think. And so when you crack the safe, you get those things aligned, it opens a safe it opens a safe to getting that result. And so you find the very next thing, then you find the very next thing. And every time you ask, you say, okay, what's the very next thing that happened? Was it something that you saw, something that you heard, something that you felt? What's the very next thing that happened that led to you feeling blah? Okay, feeling like I really want to buy this, or I really want this, or I really. And so you get that sequence. And this is how you write them out, by the way. This is how you make notes. So if it was a visual, they saw something, then you write V. And if it was internal, as in they imagined it, you write a little I. If it was something that they saw outside, or they saw it outside, you make a little E. So it's visual internal or visual external. It's auditory. They heard something outside, or they heard something inside. And you just recreate that sequence. And when you recreate that sequence, or as in you write out this whole sequence, you then test it out with a different stimulus. Okay, so let me just go back to my story. So in the story, when Kathleen recreated this training for one of the senior people, they recreated the training. They said, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to watch the video, then you're going to make notes, then you're going to go and put your hands on the system, then you're going to go and watch the video again. And does that sound like you'd get it? And he was like, oh my God, this sounds like the best training ever. And so you're recreating the sequence with different stimulus, with a different, understanding what their strategy was, but you're recreating different stimulus that recreates the strategy for them. And if you do this correctly, if you get their strategy correctly, you can get someone to buy something. So by using their buying strategy, to make a decision using their decision-making strategy, to get them motivated by finding out what their motivation strategy is. You can find a genius and find out what is their strategy for being creative, and then start to adopt their strategy by test it out for yourself. See if, oh, that strategy might work better for me. And so understanding strategies is so powerful because it will allow you to understand not just how you think, but how other people think. And it can be so powerful because this is the key to influence. This is next level influence. So that's our session today, all about strategies. Very, very powerful topic, and can really get you further faster with your influence with other people, but also to understand yourself and start to even figure out other people's strategies and even try them out for yourself and see if you want to replace some of your strategies for learning or for etc. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, if you haven't, do subscribe to my channel, but also and if you have not yet come to one of my sessions on NLP, please check out uaenlp.com, and I talk to you about how you can use NLP in your life and take your results to that whole next level. So I want to thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you very much, and I will catch you on another video very soon. Peace out, one love, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.